The Rock is a 1996 action thriller film directed by Michael Biehn that would find positive reviews from critics and very high box office success. United States Marine Corps Brigadier General Francis X. Hummel, played by Ed Harris, grieving over the loss of his wife and fallen men under his command during Operation Desert Storm, decides to take matters into his own hands. Displeased with what he believes to be the U.S. government's poor regard for fallen Marines, Hummel and his rogue group of Force Recon Marines, including his longtime friend, Major Tom Baxter, played by David Morse, steal 15 VX nerve gas rockets from a U.S. Navy facility. The following day, Hummel, Baxter, and 13 other Marines, including Captains Fry, Darrow, and Hendricks, played by Gregory Spordler, Tony Todd, and John C. McGinley, and Sergeant Crisp, played by Bokeem Woodbine, seize control of the former federal prison on Alcatraz Island, known as The Rock, taking guards and tourists hostage.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're being detained against your will. For that, I apologize. It's not our intention in any way to harm you. You will not be detained 1 minute longer than is necessary for us to complete our mission.
They then set up missile launchers around the island, aiming their nerve gas rockets at nearby San Francisco, California. In Washington, D.C., Hummel contacts FBI Director James Womack, played by John Spencer, and FBI agent Ernest Paxton, played by William Forsythe, and the Pentagon, threatening to launch the rockets unless the government pays him $100 million, much of which he intends to donate to families of fallen Marines who did not receive compensation.
You alert the media. I launch the gas. You refuse payment. I launch the gas.
You've got 40 hours till noon, day after tomorrow, to arrange transfer of the money. I am aware of your countermeasure. You know, and I know it doesn't stand a chance. Hummel from Alcatraz, out.
In the meantime, FBI Special Agent Stanley Goodspeed, played by Nicolas Cage, is a chemical weapons specialist living in Washington, D.C. with his pregnant fiancée, Carla Pestalozzi, played by Vanessa Marcil. He is informed by his superiors that he must fly to San Francisco at once.
Stanley, no, you do not have to go to San Francisco. Are you kidding me right now? You need to stay here and talk to me about things.
I've got to go, baby.
I am Catholic. Do you realize that? I am pregnant and I am unmarried, and this causes a serious problem for me.
I love you. I will marry you. I just didn't plan on this, that's all. Come to San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure it's just a training exercise.
Once he arrives, Goodspeed realizes that he is in a real-life horror story.
What do you know about VX gas?
Liquid. Failed pesticide discovered by mistake in 1952. Actually, it's kind of like champagne that way. The Franciscan monks thought they were making white wine. Somehow the bottle carbonated, voila, champagne, and then the whole
gas, Dr. Goodspeed.
It's very, very horrible, sir. It's one of those things we wish we could disinvent. This isn't a training exercise, is it?
No, Dr. Goodspeed, it's not a training exercise.
With no knowledge of the architecture of the tunnels, FBI Director Womack reluctantly calls on the aid of the imprisoned John Mason, played by Sean Connery.
I'm an agent with the federal FBI. I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
But of course you are.
Well, at least he got his name right.
Of course I am.
And you have an emergency.
That's right.
And you need my help.
Exactly right.
Coffee.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Offer me coffee.
Oh, yes. Well, that was in fact going to be my next... Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
I want a suite, a shower, a shave, and the feel of a suit.
May I also suggest a haircut?
I'm
Am I out of style?
Unless you're a 20-year-old guitarist from Seattle. It's a grunge thing.
Grunge?
Yeah, well...
A former British MI6 agent and SAS operative, Mason is the only man to have successfully escaped from Alcatraz.
It's me. Listen, don't come to San Francisco. I repeat, do not come to San Francisco.
Stanley, no.
Carla.
Like hell I'm not coming.
Wait, Carla.
Who's Carla? And why don't you want her to come to San Francisco?
You're on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know.
Watch your bite.
While getting a haircut, Mason escapes and leads the FBI on a car chase, causing a rampage through downtown San Francisco so that he can briefly meet with his estranged daughter Jade, played by Claire Forlani.
You know, you're almost the only evidence that I exist.
But I don't know you.
That's what I want to change, right? I've rehearsed this speech 1,000 times on the chance that we would meet. Here we are, and I'm lost.
Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to be feeling either.
I'm not an evil man. If you can believe that, then it's a start.
When his daughter gets angry, thinking that he escaped from prison, Goodspeed de-escalates the situation.
You broke out of prison again, didn't you?
FBI, ma'am. Father's working with us. He's helping us resolve a dangerous situation.
He is?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for that. You could have handled it differently.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
At the command center, Mason negotiates to join the team heading to Alcatraz.
You're not goddamn going. Show us on the blueprints.
I can't. My blueprint was in my head.
You're not going anywhere, Mason.
Wait a second. Now, this piece of work might be the only chance those people over there have. If he's not going, then why the hell did we get him out of jail?
He's smart.
I got him out to get you people in, not go with you.
It's the only way of getting the intelligence I need.
You're between the rock and a hard case.
The Department of Defense and the FBI attempt to retake the island by infiltrating the old tunnel system beneath it, with Navy SEALs led by Commander Anderson, played by Michael Biehn. Hummel and his men get the drop on them, and the entire team, except for Goodspeed and Mason, are killed.
Sir? You made a terrible mistake. And more of our brothers have died in vain. Damn you for forcing me into this position.
Paxton finally confronts Womack about Mason's past, learning that Mason has been imprisoned without trial for decades.
1962. J. Edgar Hoover is head of the FBI, some say the country. It's no secret he kept microfilm files of prominent Americans and Europeans, de Gaulle, British members of parliament, even the prime minister. I mean, this guy had dirt on everybody in the world.
Yeah, I know all the cloak and dagger stories. Where does Mason fit in?
Mason was the British operative who stole the files, but our bureau agents caught him at the Canadian border. Of course, the British claimed they'd never heard of him. And we held him without trial until he gave up the microfilm. But he never did.
So you held this guy without trial his whole life? No wonder he's pissed.
This man knows our most intimate secrets from the last half-century. The alien landing at Roswell, the truth about the JFK assassination. And Mason's angry. He's lethal. He's a trained killer. And he is the only hope that we have got.
When Mason decides to leave, Goodspeed tells him the truth about the nerve gas.
This is what I do.
I haven't got my glasses.
What it says is chemical weapons specialist. That's right. I got a lunatic up there, man. With 15 missiles, armed with some really funky stuff.
You could have told my daughter.
It was classified. Look, I can defuse the rockets. I really can. But I'm gonna need your help. I'm gonna need it right now.
It is up to Goodspeed and Mason to stop the mercenaries and disarm the rockets before it is too late.
You sure you're ready for this?
I'll do my best.
Your best? Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Carla was the prom queen.
Really?
Yeah.
Producer Don Simpson was largely responsible for creating the critical General Hummel character. He had watched an episode of the CBS News program 60 Minutes, which told of the U.S. government's refusal to acknowledge soldiers who had died during covert overseas missions, and later read Colonel Daniel H. Hackworth's memoirs, which harshly criticized U.S. planning during the Vietnam War. There were tensions during shooting between director Michael Bay and Walt Disney Studio executives. Michael Bay recalled a time when he was preparing to leave the set for a meeting with executives and was approached by Sean Connery in golfing attire. Connery, who also produced this movie, asked Bay where he was going, and when Bay explained that he had a meeting with the studio executives, Connery asked if he could accompany him. Bay complied, and when Bay arrived in the conference room, the studio executives' jaws dropped when they saw Sean Connery appear behind him. According to Michael Bay, Connery stood up for him and insisted that he was doing a good job and should be left alone. According to director Michael Bay, the script was written much more straight and serious than the final film. Most of the humorous moments and lines were improvised during filming. The studio wanted this movie shot in Los Angeles with only a handful of exteriors of Alcatraz and San Francisco. Michael Bay refused, telling them, quote, "I gotta shoot on this island because this island is so fucking bitching," end quote. While filming, Alcatraz was still open to the public, and many visitors watched the movie being shot. However, on December 15, 1995, the federal government, which owns Alcatraz, partially shut it down due to a stalled budget talk and a government shutdown. Filming continued with no visitors present. Producers Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer had decided they were going to dissolve their partnership when the production of this film finished, mostly due to Jerry Bruckheimer's taking issue with Don Simpson's drug abuse problems. Sadly, Don Simpson died of drug abuse-related heart failure before this film was released, and the movie is dedicated to his memory. The Rock was filmed from October 19, 1995 to January 19, 1996. Reportedly, Sean Connery accepted the part of Mason after learning that Nicolas Cage had been cast as Goodspeed. Along with 1999's Entrapment, Sean Connery said The Rock was his favorite film of his own during the decade of the 1990s. In the scene in the interrogation room when Stanley Goodspeed introduces himself to John Mason, Mason replies, "But of course you are."
Well, I'm Stanley Goodspeed.
But of course you are.
This was exactly the same line he used when he met Lana Wood's character Plenty O'Toole in the 1971 James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever.
Hi, I'm Plenty.
But of course you are.
Plenty O'Toole.
John Mason says he was trained by British intelligence, like Sean Connery's most famous movie character, James Bond. There are several theories out there that Sean Connery's character in this movie, The Rock, is in fact an older version of the character James Bond. Actor Stanley Anderson portrays the President of the United States in this film, as well as Michael Bay's next directed film, Armageddon. Therefore, The Rock and Armageddon would take place in the same movie universe. This is the first time Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris played hero and villain. The other time was the 2007 sequel National Treasure Book of Secrets, also produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Nicolas Cage presented the Best Actor in a Supporting Role segment at the 1988 Academy Awards when Sean Connery won for his performance in the 1987 film The Untouchables. Prel shampoo was used to represent the deadly VX nerve gas in the film. Nicolas Cage says a line in this movie that would be repeated 8 years later in another Jerry Bruckheimer-produced film, the hit 2004 movie National Treasure.
Come here, you little chickens!
You shoot me, I drop this. We're both dead. You shoot me, I drop this, we all go up.
According to director Michael Bay, this is his favorite film of his own. The premiere of the film was held in the prison recreation yard on Alcatraz. The Rock was a massive hit at the box office. It grossed $335.6 million on a budget of just $75 million. This made The Rock the fourth highest grossing film of 1996. This was Sean Connery's second highest grossing film ever after 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I think many people may forget just how big of a box office hit this movie was. The Rock made more money at the United States box office in 1996 than did Space Jam, Eraser, Scream, The Birdcage, or The Nutty Professor. Critics were generally favorable to the film, although Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert found themselves at odds.
Obviously, I'm giving a mixed review to The Rock. If there had been more of Cage early on, talking quietly, being funny in some way, I'd give it a positive review. There's a little of that, but not enough. But the pacing and the premise were really agitating to me. For long stretches of time, I simply wanted to escape from The Rock. So a mixed review, thumbs down from me.
We're not even close on this because I really liked it a whole lot. And I liked it even though it's really cobbled together from pieces of other pictures. You know, I wonder, it was produced by Jerry Bruckheimer and the late Don Simpson.
Right.
Now, Quentin Tarantino attacked their Top Gun in a famous movie monologue saying it was a homosexual code.
Right.
And in this movie, they have both the hypodermic needle to the heart and the ending, which is a Mexican standoff. Now, those are both Tarantino trademarks, so I think they're getting their revenge.
But Roger, weren't you worn out by this?
No,
Do you know what
I
you
wasn't.
even know what I'm referring to?
I was stimulated by it. I was excited by it.
What about the premise? What about Ed Harris's character? Did you think it was totally absurd?
Well, I mean, if you're going to start in on premises, you could start in with every premise, starting with Die Hard, Lethal Weapon. I mean, all of these.
Oh, no. A single madman.
The moment June the 1st comes around, premises go out the window in Hollywood, and anything goes.
This one is laughable. Die Hard seems like a rational documentary compared to this goofball plot.
Okay, well, and we know you like documentaries.
You got it.
Michael Bay did have an idea for a sequel to this. His idea for a sequel involved a now married Goodspeed to be in possession of the microfilm evidence and finding himself pursued by government bad guys, and with nowhere else to turn, he's forced to ask Mason for help. A sequel was never made. This movie is part of the Criterion Collection, Spine number 108, generally reserved for very high-quality films. I heard about this movie when I was a kid in the 1990s, but I didn't see it until around 2004. I absolutely loved it. The fact that Sean Connery was still an action hero by the mid to late 1990s and even beyond was awesome. Nicolas Cage is one of my favorite actors, and the movie is really good. I've always said that personally my favorite movie is Armageddon, which was directed by Michael Bay in 1998, just 2 years after this film. So The Rock is probably the closest thing to Armageddon that you could get stylistically. There are many scenes in The Rock that are very similar to Armageddon.
A nighttime airdrop incursion is out due to the full moon. Likewise, a frontal seaside attack.
With the proximity of the asteroid and no prep time, none of our primary plans can work.
I give 10 out of 10 stars to the 1996 action film, The Rock.